Oh god, I'm exhausted. Wait a second. Where am I? Where'd my jacket go? My glasses are gone. What happened to my hair? What happened to my foot? How long have I been running? Am I in Westbury anymore? I really need to figure out some
solutions. Ezra, what's your solution? Just
Wait. You know how we said that was a problem? That's actually the best.
It's the solution. Just don't do it. But maybe to be more positive, we're going to start with the mental level solutions. So I guess the first thing that I have on my list is visualize. What does visualize do for you?
Put yourself in that situation so that when you are actually in it, you already have done it, just not on this physical plane. Oh my god, that's so fucking existential.
Takes a lot of energy. Now, when we talk about visualizing, what we mean is you close your eyes, you don't move your fingers, and you try to imagine yourself playing the piece from beginning to end in your mind's eye. You can imagine the performance hall, you can imagine the piano, you can imagine people there, you can imagine people not being there. The point is, like an athlete prepares for, their best jump, their best sprint, we prepare our minds and our interpretation and our creation in our minds first. And then there are more chances that the hands and body will follow that blueprint that we've created in our minds. There's a lot of resistance to doing it because it takes a lot of energy. Sometimes it's triple the amount of time it would actually take you to play the piece. It forces you to shut down the muscle memory because it's all mental memory, right?
Yeah.
What else?
I tend to fall asleep if I close my eyes.
So yeah, it's very tiring and we all, I guess, sleep deprived. So I'm going to mention meditation as a solution for the mental level, just because I find it very helpful. You have to calm your breath, you have to calm your mind, you have to become the neutral observer. There are 10,000 kinds of meditation out there. You pick yours, guided meditation, existential, transcendental meditation. I'm a firm believer that it actually helps shift us from the sympathetic to the parasympathetic. So any form of meditation, I think, would be helpful. This is a big one. So you take a piece of paper, and on the left side, you actually write out what your mind is saying. For example, my hands are going to fall off. On the right side of the paper, you write a rational retort, like, my hands have never fallen off before. No other human being has had their hands fall off, right, at any given point. So the chances of that actually happening are pretty small. I'm kind of confident that will not happen. Now, I'm making light of this, and I think some of the self-talk that we have can get really dark, but this exercise is phenomenal at teaching us to retort to the fear, retort to the mental pattern that is coming up in a constructive way. It's going to be really bad. You retort, well, I did a couple of run-throughs, it was kind of okay, so I think it's going to be okay. And you can keep going in this loop until you feel, okay, yes, these are fears, some of them are rational, some of them aren't, but I can rationally respond to them. I don't just have to sit there lying down and let the fear sort of, use me as a punching bag.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like the ebb and flow of water.
Meaning
that water would just it just flows. Like you just kind of have to let it flow.
Right. I'm not getting that metaphor at all. What do you mean?
Well, just like there's like a river, right? And your mental block is my hands are gonna fall off. That's like a rock in the middle of the river. Your thoughts are like the water, just like kind of
going around it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Instead of fighting and resisting it or ignoring it or saying it's not it's not really there.
And eventually it'll wear it down because water wears down everything.
Now, that was a profound moment from Ezra. Everybody, like this video. Mantras and affirmations. Affirmations can be very helpful because if you constantly listening to your negative chatter saying it's going to be bad or it's going to suck, I'm not good enough, and you, at least for some of the time, counteract it with, it's going to be okay. I practiced, I know it, I've done run-throughs, I had lessons, it's strong. If you start counteracting that self-negative talk with some affirmations, it at least puts things into balance. You're not just listening to the negative stuff all day long. Now, Ezra has done an incredible experiment with rice. Ezra?
Yeah, so I took 2 containers of rice, the same batch of rice, 2 identical containers. I put rice in both of them, and on one container I wrote, I love you, and on the other one I wrote stupid rice. And every single day...
Stupid rice.
Stupid rice.
Stupid rice, yes.
So every day I would give love and like words of affirmation to the container that said I love you, and every day I would like berate and hate and throw and abuse the stupid
I
rice.
can't hear this. Oh my, poor rice.
And the difference between the rice after 2 weeks, the smell, the look, just everything about it was so different.
So if rice responds so violently to positive and negative talk, can you imagine what happens to us as human beings?
Yeah.
Right? So it's a thing.
Now you may be wondering, how can I get into meditation? Well, here's a really quick guide. Our first step is getting to the flow state, which in short means fully being engrossed in what we are doing at the moment, whether practicing or going for a walk.
Dude, seriously?
Yeah, maybe not you. Or something simple as cleaning, which we will probably focus on. Now remember, you want to be fully engrossed, so cleaning like this is not the best way. Now you may be thinking, cleaning is really stressful for me. Yeah, it is for me too, but there are other things that are more stressful, such as that recital that you have to play next week. So instead, how about we focus on not listening to Radiohead anymore and taking out all those cups out of your room. Washing your dishes is a great way to get into the flow state, and now you can feel a little better. In all seriousness, the flow state is important because as soon as you finish these tasks, that instant relief is truly what meditation is, courtesy of the Tibetan Book of Living and Dying. Okay, so our second part is setting up your space. You can light this candle, not like I'm doing because I'm taking forever. You can put in some ambient lighting, and you can go onto YouTube and look for some meditation music. There's thousands of them. Let's go ahead and choose this one. And now we have some music. So I like to sit down. If I lie down, I tend to fall asleep. At this stage, you can let all of your stressful thoughts flow here, but just listen to them. Don't react to them, and let them go. You can do this for 5 minutes, you can do this for 5 hours, however long you need or want to.
We're talking about solutions to deal with the physical manifestations of stage fright. Ezra?
Try the piano that you're about to play on.
Why?
Because it doesn't matter what you were just playing on. It is a completely different instrument. We don't have the privilege of carrying our instrument because it is 2 tons and too big to fit in your backpack or a locker.
But it would be nice, wouldn't it? That would really solve a lot of problems for a lot of us, right? If we could carry our own instruments. Yeah. If you're in the actual space of the performance and you sense that space and you learn about the acoustics, you learn about, what motion creates what sound in that space, it calms you down. A concert is sort of your party. You're inviting people to your party. So you're the host. If you feel like the space you're in is not your space, we have a problem.
Yeah.
And this is really one of my fears of why playing juries is so difficult, because in a jury, you're really walking into a space that is inhabited by the jury, by the people who are judging you. It's very difficult to turn that energy around and say, actually, you guys are here for my party, so, right?
Yeah.
But so my point is, as much time as you can spend in the actual performance space, do it. Practice on that piano. Own that space. Like, invite all your spirit guides and all of your friends to be with you on stage there, so you can feel more comfortable and like it's your environment. How about running the stairs up and down to get your heart rate?
Now you're just beating a dead horse.
That would actually, for me personally, that would help me because that would kind of exhaust my body so I'm not shaking. But I think in terms of me being sweaty before, I don't really...
Well, I'm not talking about doing this before the performance. I'm talking about doing this as part of the preparation. So what that does is that it gets your heart rate elevated, right? And then you sit at the piano and you try to start playing the piece in the tempo that you're actually intended to play. So...
I get it.
I think it's an interesting exercise to do a couple of times just to see where you fall. I know I heard an oboist told me that she did that religiously for orchestral auditions, and she found it tremendously helpful. So again, you can try it and just to see how your body responds and how the tempo of the piece and how your fingers respond when your heart rate is elevated, and just try it out. Exercise.
Do it.
Ezra, does exercise help with stage fright?
Yes, it does.
How so?
It's on the same kind of strand as running up and down.
Right.
But when you exercise, your heart rate is used to rising. So so if you don't exercise and you get really nervous before a stage and your heart rate is like going all over the place, you're going to get a lot more physical symptoms of anxiety as opposed to if your heart rate is already used to being high.
So it's just a matter of getting used to something. If your body's used to an elevated heart rate and a little bit of sweating and it goes like, oh yeah, it's like I'm at the gym, it's not a big deal. If any sort of change in your heart rate is interpreted as, oh my God, the ceiling is going to fall on our heads, then we have a problem. Also with exercise, you get the endorphin rush, which is really good for you. It helps with the concentration and the focus. I remember my therapist telling me that, chess champions go to the gym to develop their mental acuity, and I thought that she was hallucinating, but it's true, they do, and it really does help, especially when you have to concentrate over long periods of time. So exercise, we're not talking about lifting weights, we're talking about cardio mainly.
Any kind of yoga, actually.
Yoga, yeah, absolutely. Yoga hits both things, the meditation and the physical.
Right.
I think videotaping yourself is also an awesome thing. I find that I get nervous when I listen to myself and I go, oh wait, that wasn't good. So I think that's a really important, valuable tool.
Yeah, what really triggers the nervousness with the video is if I'm trying to send it to someone.
So knowing actually somebody else is going to hear it.
Yeah. And have that tape.
So why I'm putting it in the physical, because when you open the lid and you remove the desk out and you pretend like it's actual performance, your body sort of senses, whoa, is there a tiger in the room? Are we going to switch into the simple? You start that process, you sort of build a little bit of tension into the situation, and then you can up it by getting a couple people in there, maybe up it by playing it in area, and then maybe recital seminar or whatever studio class you have. So sort of build the resistance, build the anxiety, build the factors that are making you nervous, so it's not a shock. And my famous sentence, I know I've told you this many times, if you build these steps, the shock of the performance is just another little shock. If you haven't done these steps, the shock of the performance is monumental. Right? And then your body really reacts severely to that shock because you just jolted it from being completely calm and normal to something that the body interprets as a threat. To deal with the physical manifestation of stage fright is to get yourself in that state as often as you can. And that means play run-throughs, play for your friends, play for your grandmother, play on Twitter. I mean, anywhere that you can post a video and you can go live and you can get yourself into performance state, it's going to serve you in the long run.
Well, first of all, this room is like sucking all the sound to this one area, it feels like. So I would definitely need to clean this room beforehand so that I could figure that out.
Alright, the first thing I'm going to do is adjust the bench. I'm not going to adjust the bench. Yeah, I would hate performing in here.
Hello, and welcome to part 2. Here are some ideas about what you could do with the emotional aspect of performance anxiety. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is an analogy that really helps me understand things. Do you know when you put oil in water and it sort of separates into these little bubbles? At some point they conjoin, they come together into one
Giant
thing?
Yeah.
Fear operates in a very similar way. You might have different separate fears about different issues, and at some point, because you've reached a point in your consciousness that there are just too many of them, they will conjoin into one massive stain, which we call stage anxiety. Now, if you can slow down the process and either via journaling or meditation or contemplation, whichever method you want to use, see the different aspects, or see the different causes or the different separate issues that cause fear or cause anxiety, then you will start sort of separating this massive stain. So for example, top 5 things that scare you about the performance.
What if I have a memory slip?
Okay, stop. So fear of forgetting.
Yeah.
I'm going to give you 5 sizes of boxes to put it in. Like a little box, a medium box, and so on and so forth to a huge box. What size box do we need for that?
I would say like the second to last big box.
Okay, so like a level 4 box for fear of forgetting.
Yeah.
Great, next. I have one that it's not going to be the way I wanted it to be. That's a big one for me because I'm such a, the bad word is perfectionist, but it's not really perfectionist. I just like what I like.
Yeah.
And the fact that it's not like that really, it's not fear, it's anger. Like it just makes me angry when it's not exactly what I wanted it to be. And that's like a level 3 box. It's not horrible, but it's also not nothing. It's definitely there. Mm-hmm. For some of your colleagues, it's, oh my God, I'm not going to pass my hearing, or I'm going to get a bad grade, and so on. And I'm just going to assume that for them it's a level 5 box. It's a pretty huge thing, right?
Yeah.
Another colleague that said, that because their hands get sweaty and they can't control the keyboard.
Yeah.
And let's just for discussions, let's say that's like a level 2. Like it's there, but it's not horrible.
Right. Anyone with asthma who came in here would literally have an instant asthma attack and probably die.
You can see how just dealing with the specific fear and putting it in the correct size box helps you separate and then deal with each individual issue. Now, if we put all these boxes, we pour the content into one big pile, like what happens? It becomes overwhelming. So this is the first tool I want to offer you. You can, do this in a meditation. You can draw. You can do whichever way feels comfortable for you. But separate the fears into different boxes or to different jars, or whichever metaphor you want to use, and then deal with each one of it calmly and rationally. Maybe deal with a box a day. Don't pour them all out.
Stop it.
One box a day, and see if that actually helps you deal with the stress of the emotion. Okay, the next one is a biggie. I'm going to start from the end, and basically you just tell yourself, I gave myself full permission to suck. Why do I say that? Like, nobody in their right mind will ever go on stage thinking, I need to do a bad job. We all go on there thinking, we're going to try and do the best job that we can. But by giving yourself permission to be human and not hit all of the notes and not be perfect, you eliminate a huge part of the stress and the pressure in your mind. Now, I know from my playing, when I say that to myself before I go on stage, dude, if it sucks, it sucks, it's going to be fine, we're going to be fine, I feel my body relax.
Right.
I'm not anymore, oh my God, that first note, or that second note, or that passage. I move away from that into a place of kumbaya with the notes, right? We're all friends.
Yeah.
Some of them will happen, some of them will not happen, and I'm just going to make peace with it. Mm-hmm. The ideal is great if you use it as a way to measure ourselves, as a light to shine on what we're creating, to say, here's Martha Argerich, she created a beautiful performance. I want to learn from that, and I want to try and create my best performance. But I use it as a measuring thing, as a comparison thing, and then I could put it aside and move on. If I can't let it go, I have a problem. And I think a lot of the emotional stuff that we have when we go on stage is the stress or the pressure from the ideal and feeling like we will never meet that ideal. We will never reach that level. And therefore we cut ourselves at the knees by saying, well, if we can never reach the ideal, what are we doing here anyways? Right. Some of us will go and we'll play note perfect, but it's not going to be as expressive as some other people. We all have our strengths, we all have our weaknesses. We're a work in progress. We try to get better with every time, and that's the only thing that anybody can ask of us. Using the moment. Let's say that on Monday I feel a little lethargic. Maybe I'm not even nervous. I'm just feeling tired. I'm not really in the mood. I bring that position. I don't fight with it. I don't try to change what I'm feeling. I just bring that to the piece. Mm-hmm. And to be able to use what I was like that day on that piano in that space, and to bring it into the piece was really liberating. Again, it's moving away from the ideal. It's not always going to be the same.
Yeah.
Let's say we just had a wonderful lunch, and we're going to play this concert, and I'm super happy and energized. So playing Mozart C major sonates, great, I'm there. Let's say I just got food poisoning, right? And I'm feeling really crappy. I was like, so it's not going to be as joyful,
right?
But it's going to be like more,
It was Mozart, it'd be satirical.
Yeah, with Pepto-Bismol. Mozart had Pepto-Bismol.
Yeah.
So, I think a lot of us get stuck in, if it's not what I intended it to be, if it's not the perfect manifestation of it, then I'm wrong. And I'm saying, no. Imagine the bullseye, you imagine the dart, and all you have to do is get it on the board. You don't have to hit it smack in the middle. Your job as a professional is to just throw the dart and get it on the board. If you can't get it on the board, you're not a professional. Okay?
Yeah.
But don't freak out when it's not exactly at the center, it's a little further, and some days it's going to be really far from the center, and that's okay.
Right.
The last one is called EFT, and for those of you who know tapping, I'm going to talk about tapping for 2 seconds. Tapping is the idea that to switch from our sympathetic to the parasympathetic nervous systems, we can gently tap on meridian ends in the body. So the end of your palm is a meridian point between your eyes here and the eyebrows, the side of your eyes, under the eyes, you can see under your nose, under your bottom lip, your collarbone here, under your armpits, your wrists. I think there are probably more, but those are sort of the main ones. And the idea is that if you start gently tapping, Ezra, we're tapping here, you start with acknowledging what you're experiencing. So let's say, even though I'm experiencing an immense amount of anxiety right now, I totally love and accept myself. And this is, you repeat that a few times, 2-3 times, 3-4 times, and that's the basic setup statement. From that point, you just keep tapping on the different points, and what that does is that it allows you to experience the emotion without going into the sympathetic nervous system. Why is that important? I've been goofing around with this system now for the past couple of months. I never heard of it before. And I'm kind of impressed with its ability to allow you to feel the emotion without judging it, without repressing it, without doing something, just experiencing the emotion and releasing it. Because if you can let it be, if you can be in it, and you can sort of work through your thought process and the experience, it stops having the charge that it has when you're trying to reject it and repress it. The tapping, especially when you're feeling a spike in the anxiety and you go, oh, this is not good, it's really helpful to just take a minute and go through a series of taps and see where you are after that. Those are some tools. There are more tools. I'm writing a book or something about it, so at some point it's not going to be out. But I hope you found this helpful. Please leave us comments, subscribe and like and all that stuff. Let us know if you want us to address any of these issues more specifically. We'll be happy to. Ezra, anything?
No.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Adios.
Well, next time you wish me to instruct another one of your dogs, please let me know. Goodbye, Fräulein. Goodbye, madam. Goodbye, sir.
Now that is how you play a concert for dogs.